Oh, welcome, welcome. I've started talking already. I'm glad I recall that I have not unmuted, but I've not spoken too much. So welcome to today's book review. And let's see. Let me send a reminder out quickly. We are live. Yes. Awesome. Hello. Yes, so let's do that this way. Yes, so today we are concluding part 2 of this of the book today. And in part 1, one of a few things that we have learned, and of course, what book are we talking about? We're talking about Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. And of course, we know why this book is important to us, because we are in sales, and this book is very good, and it will help us to achieve getting out of mental rut, to begin thinking new thoughts, acquire new visions, and discover new ambitions. I tell you, I say this every time we come together. I love the way Dale writes. I'm not a very vast author, writer like that, but I love his style of writing. He's able to drive home his point using a lot of examples, real life examples that is relatable, right? So as folks in business and sales, you are able to see possible life application that applies to you. And the wonderful thing about this book is that it drives your self-development. And of course, one of the things that network marketing promises, one of the value we see in network marketing, or the gift we see in network marketing, is the fact that it's one of a business model that lays a lot of premium on self-development. So when you're in network marketing, you are able to, you grow, you develop yourself, you grow as a person. So this book is not just only for, folks in business or folks in sales, but rather developing yourself and your relationship with other people. And then how to be able to get people to do what they want to do that is mutually beneficial for both of you, right? So it's really good. It helps you make friends quickly and easily. And of course, in network marketing, we've been hearing about attraction marketing and all of that. Making new friends and being able to do that quickly is at the core of attraction marketing. Increase your popularity when your popularity is increased, your influence will increase. And when your influence is increased with sales, definitely you're able to get a lot of more people thinking the way you think. Win people to your way of thinking. When you have influence on people, that is what happens. Increase your influence, your prestige, your ability to get things done. As a leader in network marketing, you build your leadership skill, right? And there is no leader without followers. If you see any, a mentor of mine usually say, if you see a leader without a followership, that leader is just primarily taking a stroll, right? So there has to be, for you to be a leader, you have to have followings. And in network marketing, that is the way it's built, that you build your team. And at the top of that team is you as a leader. And for you to be able to get people, get things done, get them motivated, get them moving in the direction, that will benefit them and, benefit you, win-win situation, right? You have to be able to increase your influence and be able to do that. Now, there will be times there will be complaints, arguments, and things like that, this book will give you tools to use to, avoid, to handle complaints, avoid argument, and be able to keep your human contact and relationships smooth and pleasant, right? So this book will give you all of those tools. And of course, to become a better speaker, a more entertaining conversationist. We're going to be talking about that today. And then to arouse enthusiasm among your associates, this book is the bomb. It's going to definitely help you in that direction. Hello, welcome. All right, so we are going to the second part of the part 2 today. We dealt with the first two principles last week. We couldn't do much, and today we are dealing with the remaining 4 principles. And this part is basically dealing with 6 ways to make people like you, right? As a salesperson, as a network marketer, what are the, attraction marketing is top notch, right? How do you make people like you? And we've talked about being genuinely interested in other people, be it physically or online or, on social media. How do you become genuinely interested in other people? We talked about that last week, and we spoke about, using your smile, being able to use your smile, in order to, it's the way you appear to people, you become approachable instantly, right? And all of that, when you're approachable, you're able to talk to other people, and you're able to present your business in a way that is welcoming to the other person. So we're going to continue today, and that is with the third principle. It says, if you don't do this, you are headed for trouble. Right? And what that one is basically, drumming home for us is being able to use a person's name accurately, well, and to remember that name, remember it, use it, remember it, and spell it correctly. Because, a person's name is the sweetest sound to them, to their hearing. Because when you call somebody, if you want somebody to answer you, if you want a response from somebody, just call their name, right? So it's the very first ticket to gain the attention of somebody is being able, especially when you're in a social setting, a physical interaction, you're interacting with this person, and they introduce themselves to you, ensure that you use all the tools that you know how to use to remember their names, that name. And when you want to, write it or write to them, email them or whatever, make sure you say it correctly, because it goes a long way, in giving you access. It's like a key pass that gives you access to this person. When you, especially, those of us that are from Africa, wherever you may be, from my understanding, our even, Egyptians, I know from Bible things, our names have meaning, right? So when you meet somebody, especially, and you find that their names are not, you're not familiar with the name, find out, try to know more about, about them, using their names. And that's a very good conversation starter, right? For example, my name is Omoumi, right? That is, I love children. What is that about? That there's a story around that. And if it's something you met me for the first time, you try to pronounce it, and we talked about it, it's something you can like, okay, oh wow, Omoumi, that means you love children, right? And then that might make me open up and, tell you a few things around that, right? And we're going to see why that is important as we go through, the remaining part of these principles today. Because when you get people to talk about what interests them, what they want to talk about, then you gain their trust and they're able to see you as somebody that is approachable, that is, that they can do business with even in the first place, right? So having that as is a key card, basically, to gain access to somebody. I love this quote. I love this statement here. It says, Franklin D. Roosevelt knew that one of the simplest, most obvious, and most important ways of gaining goodwill was by remembering names and making people feel important, right? Now, this goes, whichever way. Of course, you will remember your boss's name or those that are in high ranking positions, but you're dealing with people out, everyone around you, down to, a clerk, a driver, a nanny, no matter whatever their level is in the society, make them feel important. Remember their names. And of course, we have, when you go to restaurants, when you go to places, you have some people have their name tags. Use the name, right? It makes them feel important. And we know these days that in some areas, the frontline people gives you access easily, smoothly, if you're able to make them feel important. So if you have an appointment, to have a business proposal with a high-ranking, individual in a company at an establishment like an hotel, for example, we're in the skincare business, right? You want to, go to maybe a spa, and you want to talk to the bosses, to the boss of the spa about, them using your product, or this garment care that we now carry with the Untamed. You want to talk to an hotel owner, that they can, begin using this product in their hotels and make their, fabric, their bedspreads, their, blind, smell good, and even use it in cleaning their toilets, right? All of that. You of course you want to talk to the bosses, but you're not going to get to the, make appointment with the bosses directly. You have to talk to the bellman or the bellboy. You have to talk to the receptionist. You have to talk to, the staffs. How do you make your way to the heart of the staffs so that they can tell you when the boss will be available, so that they can even present your proposal or your request to the boss that you want to meet them, so make them feel important by remembering their name. All right. Napoleon III, Emperor of France and nephew of the great Napoleon, boasted that in spite of all his royal duties, he could remember the name of every person he met. That is a gift. Right? That is a gift. There are a lot of people that can remember faces no matter what. They are magnetic. Their brain is magnetic for remembering faces, but for the life of them, they won't be able to remember names. But the most important thing is to be able to match those two together. As you remember the face, remember the name of people as well. It's very, very, very important. So ways by which you can do that, he says, is technique. Simple. If he didn't hear the name distinctly, he said, so sorry, I didn't get the name clearly. Then if it was an unusual name, we would say, how is it spelled? So these are ways by which we can have the person say their names multiple times, have them spell it, right? And then if, like I said earlier, if it's a special name, a unique name that you've not heard about before, ask them the origin of it, the meaning of it, especially if they are from, African origin. Our names usually have meanings to them, right? So one thing that I found in the US is people were like, it's my name. No, there's no special meaning to it. My mom just said, they just picked it, so that might be awkward. But if you have somebody from, Africa origin, definitely feel free to ask them, what is the origin of your name? What is the meaning behind it? Now, if the person was someone important, Napoleon went to even further pains. As soon as His Royal Highness was alone, he wrote the name down on a piece of paper, which is a technique that we can all use. When you meet somebody, have it, noted somewhere. You have your phone with you. You can, write the name of the person, and even easily, if they share their number, that's a very amazing opportunity to quickly write their name as you are taking their number, right? If they share that with you. So you write it and look at it, concentrated on it, fixed it securely in his mind, and then tore up the paper. So nowadays, before we used to remember phone numbers of people, now I don't know who again, remembers people's phone numbers except for your family members. But now we have our phones with us, to be able to help us do that. Once you have, and an important thing is, right, when you are taking names of people on your phone, when you have their contact especially, write their names and possibly put beside it what will make you remember maybe how you met the person, so that when you're looking for their contact, maybe you have an appointment with them or you want to reach out to them and you're looking, okay, what's this person's name again? Because it's a tool to help you remember, right? So on the following day, you want to reach back out to them, how you met them, maybe the place, an event you went together, write the name of the event, so that when you're recalling, you know what to look for, on your phone. And again, another thing is, maybe as you get the number, text them immediately. Immediately you leave them, text them immediately, let them know, oh, wow, I enjoyed our conversation. I look forward to our next meeting, or, look forward to, hearing from them or meeting them again, and things like that. So that way you have a record or something to track your communication with them. So very, very, very important. We should be aware of the magic contained in a name. Is a key card, like I said, and realize that this single item, that name, being able to remember that name, is wholly and completely owned by the person with whom we're dealing with, and nobody else, right? Their name. The name sets the individual apart, makes them unique. It makes him or her unique among all others. The information we are imparting or the request we're making takes on a special importance when we approach the situation with the name of the individual. From the waitress to the senior executive, the name will work magic as we deal with others. So remembering that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Very, very, very important. Now, the next principle here is an easy way to become a good conversationist. And how do we do that? The principle is, be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. I love, like I said, all this book is full of good stories. And I believe, do I have one here for you? Okay, so let me back up. I think I have story for principle 5 and 6 that I felt, we have to, share that story here. So as we go, please let me know what are the things you're picking up here? What are the things you're going to add to, to your personally? How has this, impacted you? So as we go, and if you have anything to add, please let me know. All right. You can put it in the chat or put it in the comments if you're watching this on replay, and we would love to, get back on it. All right. So basically, everybody wants a good listener. Everybody wants to be listened to. Everybody wants to be heard. Everyone wants to be able to talk about themselves. So as much as you are itching and want to talk about yourself, if you are meeting a prospective partner or customer, the most important thing you need to remember is to be a good listener. Encourage them to talk about themselves, right? Of course, they might ask you questions. How did you come about this business? You know, all of that, all of those things. But before they even get to that, you know, have a strategy in place, have a plan in place. What is it that you want them to talk about, you know, in themselves? There are a lot of stories here where, you know, before you go to attend or you go for an appointment or meeting somebody, you already know a little bit about them and you are able to open your conversation with that. Did they recently travel? Right? Did they recently acquired, you know, a new house, or what kind of business are they into? What is their recent achievement that is known, you know, maybe in the news, or that is known to you, maybe, you know, within your circle and things like that. What are the things, for example, this here, a story here. Now, sometimes ago, I'll read this first one. I attended a bridge party. I don't play bridge. And there was a woman there who didn't play bridge either, right? You might be on at an event and you have somebody that, you know, you just have to talk to, right? She had discovered that I had once been Lowell Thomas's manager before he went on the radio, and that I had traveled in Europe a great deal while helping him prepare the illustrative travel talks he was then delivering. So she said, "Oh, Mr. Carnegie, I do want you to tell me about all the wonderful places you have visited and the sights you have seen." Now, this is Dale himself being asked by this woman, "Tell me about all your adventures, you know, in Europe and all the wonderful places you visited." As we sat down on the sofa, she remarked that she and her husband had recently returned from a trip to Africa. Now, it was this woman that started the conversation with a question. "Hey, Mr. Carnegie, tell me about the wonderful places you visited." Right? But what did Dale Carnegie do? While listening to her, she heard her remark that she and her husband recently returned from a trip to Africa. What did he do? He said, "Africa?" Now, the woman is asking him, "Tell me about Europe, all the wonderful places you visited." But then the woman said she's visited Africa. So he turned the conversation around to get the woman talking. How interesting. I've always wanted to see Africa. And then, but I never got there except for a 24-hour stay once in Algiers. "Tell me, did you visit the big game country?" "Yes." "How fortunate. I envy you. Do tell me about Africa." Right? Switching the whole thing, getting the other person talking. This is amazing. That kept her talking for 45 minutes. She never again asked me where I'd been or what I had seen. She didn't want to hear me talk about my travels. All she wanted was an interested listener so she could expand her ego and tell about where she had been. Was she unusual? No, many people are like that. So this is the way, and if you look at this, anywhere else this woman hears that Dale is coming to, she will be looking out to meet him again, right? Because she knows from experience he's a good listener and that he encouraged him to talk about herself. Dale never got to, from what we are saying now, he never got to, talk about, his own adventure, but he got the woman talking about herself. And that's how you get people interested in you, because they know you are a listening ear. All right. So that is very nice. That is how most of us are, right? So here, to be an interesting conversationist, right? He said, I let me see what I can put here. I listened because I was genuinely interested, right? To be an interesting conversationist, be genuinely interested in the person. That's why I highlighted that place. That's what I wanted to point out. Be genuinely interested in the other person. And, when you do that, they will feel it. They will be pleased naturally, right? And that kind of listening is one of the highest compliments we can pay anyone. When you pay them attention, that is, highest compliment you can pay anyone. So this man left Dale that day thinking he was a good conversationist, when in reality, he had only been merely a good listener and had encouraged him to talk. So it's very, very good being able to be attentive for other people to talk. Having exclusive attention to the person who is speaking to you is very important. Nothing else is so flattering at that. Yes, be genuinely interested. Absolutely. Yes. That is very important. Right. Excellent. So one of the ways to do that, I love the way he noted here. One of the ways to do that is while you're conversing with somebody, instead of fiddling with your phone and like, okay. No, or instead of looking around, looking at every, especially when you're in a gathering, in a party or in a get together or an event, instead of looking around while the other person is talking to you, you sit very erect on the end of your spine with hands joined on his lap, right? Like paying attention and making no movement, no gyrating of your neck, of your head here and there, except that he revolved his thumbs around each other faster or slower. He faced his interlocutor and seemed to be hearing with his eyes as well as with his ears. He listened with his mind and attentively considered what you had to say while you said it. So, and how to do that is make sure, gesticulate, let them know, okay, oh, wow, make remarks like that and ask questions. When they get to, an important point that you want to know more, ask them questions more about it and let them, talk more about what they have to talk about. Because when you do that, it's an opener. You break down any barrier they might have erected before you start talking to them. And when you do that, you're able to, they might even be the one that, what are you into? You wanted to talk to me? What was it about? They will be the one that will, open that door for you, to be able to do that. Like when you're meeting an hotel owner, read about them. How did they begin their business? What business have they been in before? What have been the things they've done in the society? What are their passion? Are they in the Rotary Club? Are they in one charity organization? Do they own or support a particular charity organization? Such things is usually people's passion. So when you start talking about such, you get them interested. And I think I'm jumping to the fifth principle. So let's just go there. So the fourth principle is be a good listener, encourage others to talk about themselves. So the fifth principle here is how to interest people. The way to interest people is to talk in terms of the other person's interest, right? Be interested in them. That's how you get other people to be interested in you. Whenever Roosevelt expected a visitor, he sat up late the night before, reading up on the subject in which he knew his guest was particularly interested. So in the age that we are right now, if you see somebody, that is interested in Bitcoin, read about it. If you see somebody that is interested in petroleum, maybe they own a gas station, or they're particularly maybe working, in the oil industry, read more about it. What is the news event, around that subject? Read about it. Particularly note some questions you might want to ask them about such things, right? If you have somebody that is, into social affairs, dig more about what is, the current affairs in the country or even in the world, because we're in a global village now, right? Dig up things, questions that you can ask them, or a subject that you can bring up in your conversation as you meet this person. All leaders know this, like Roosevelt did as well, that the royal road to a person's heart is to talk about the things he or she treasures most. And that's where, when you begin to talk about what is it that interests them. So I'm going to, read two of his stories, one on this technique and the other in the last technique we're going to be reviewing today, right? So now, he talked about this technique that is to talk in terms of the other person's interest. He's asking here, is this a valuable technique to use in business? Is it? Let's see. Take Henry G. Duvernoy of Duvernoy and Sons, a wholesale baking firm in New York. Mr. Duvernoy had been trying to sell bread to a certain New York hotel. You can see the parallel here. He had called on the manager every week for 4 years. Look at consistency here. He went to the same social affairs the manager attended. He even took rooms in the hotel and lived there in order to get the business, but he failed. 6 techniques. He was using, several techniques to get his attention, but he failed. Then said Mr. Duvernoy, after studying human relations, I resolved to change my tactics. So if you've been trying to get attention of somebody, that you want to present a business proposal to, and it's been failing, it's time to review your tactics. So he reviewed his tactics and decided to find out what interested this man, what caught his enthusiasm. So I discovered he belonged to a society of hotel executives called the Hotel Greeters of America. He not only belonged, but his bubbling enthusiasm had made him president of the organization and president of the International Greeters. No matter where its conventions were held, he will be there. So when I saw him the next day, I began talking about the greeters. What a response I got. What a response. He talked to me for half an hour about the greeters, his tones vibrant with enthusiasm. I could plainly see that this society was not only his hobby, it was the passion of his life. Before I left his office, he had sold me a membership in his organization. In the meantime, I had said nothing about bread, but a few days later, the steward of the hotel phoned me to come over with samples and prices. I don't know what you did to the old boy. The steward greeted me, but he sure is sold on you. Think of it. I have been drumming at that man for 4 years, trying to get his business. And I'll still be drumming at him if I hadn't finally taken the trouble to find out what he was interested in and what he enjoyed talking about. So definitely it's a tactics that works really, really well in business, in sales. Absolutely very, very important. So talking in terms of the other person's interest pays off for both parties, in the preceding story that we had. And generally, when the other person is able to talk about what interests them, you are giving them a gift of your attention, right? A gift of your interest as well. And you've given them, the opportunity to relieve that feeling of accomplishment again. That is an amazing gift, that they are able to relieve that feeling of accomplishment, right? They can feed on that feeling for days or for the rest of the day, right? They can feed on that feeling and just go, in the energy of that gift that you have given to them. And that is the gift of allowing them to speak about what their interest is and what their accomplishments have been. So talks in the terms of the other person's interest. Very, very important as part of the principle of making people like you, right? Then the last one we're going to talk about today is how to make people like you instantly, right? The most important thing, and the principle here is make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. Make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. There's a story here that I want to share as well. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Now, before that story, let's look at a few things that I highlighted here. If we are so contemptibly selfish that we can't radiate a little happiness and pass on a bit of honest appreciation without trying to get something out of the other person in return, if our souls are no bigger than our sour crab apples, we shall meet with the failure we richly deserve. Now, this was a response to when somebody says, okay, you've been nice, to somebody, you're giving compliments to somebody. What are you trying to get out of him? Right? This should not be our approach. The reason we are complimenting other people, the reason we are making the other person feel important should not be just because I want to get their sales or just because I want them to join my company. No, we need to be sincere. We need to let it be part of us that all about us is making the other person feel important. Okay, there is one all-important law of human conduct. If we obey that law, we shall almost never get in trouble. In fact, the law, if obeyed, will bring us countless friends and constant happiness. The law is this: always make the other person feel important. Philosophers have been speculating on the rules of human relationship for thousands of years, and out of all that speculation, there has evolved only one important concept. It is not new, it is as old as history, and that is do unto others as you will have others do unto you. Okay? Then I'll go to my story, to this story here. I'm going to tell you how business people in my own courses have applied this principle. Yes, it is very interesting book. Yes. The thing that I love about it, and of course, as we see in network marketing, self-development is part of the gift we get in network marketing. And this book not only help you with your sales, with, your relationship with others as leaders or as even, your prospecting. It helps you to become a better person. Point blank, right? So how does this principle right here, making the other person feel important and doing it sincerely, how does it affect our business, right? I'm going to say this story. Shortly after joining the course, Mr. R drove to Long Island with his wife to visit some of our relatives. This is even, relational, right? She left him to chat with an old aunt of hers. Exactly. That is, I love what you said here, Shakira. I have started reading the book from the beginning. I love how the book introduces principles and shows us how it works in practice. That's one of the things I'm taking away from this book is method of writing. The thing that I took away from the previous book that we read, that was from David Schwartz, being able to, write in topics, introducing your paragraph with a little, phrase, right? But from here, what I got is having practical examples to illustrate his point is very, very rich in that, because one way or another, you can relate to one example or two, right? So this man, with his wife, they drove out to their relatives. The wife left him to chat with an old aunt of hers and then rushed off by herself to visit some of the younger relatives. Since his son had to give a speech professionally on how he applied the principles of appreciation, this is somebody practicalizing what he learned. He thought he would gain some worthwhile experience talking with these elderly ladies. So he looked around the house to see what he could honestly admire. And that's the thing. When you meet somebody, when you're visiting, wherever, there is something we can, you can honestly admire about a person. I think I made mention of this last week. I can't remember exactly, the example that I used, and somebody laughed. That is, if you see somebody that always come late, I think that was the example, always come late. They are always late. They're always late, either late to, to appointment, late to work, always late, right? You can admire something in there. And that is the fact that they are consistent, right? That they are consistent. They are consistent, not that they are consistently late, but that they can be consistent. Now, you can then now drive that if you can apply this consistency to being early, it will be amazing. Of course, that is when you're talking to, your subordinate, but you want to pass on a compliment to somebody that is consistently late, you can, wow, I admire your consistency. And then they'll wonder, what do you mean by consistency? You never fail to be late. But I know you can apply this same consistency to being early if you want to, right? So amazing. So he said this house was built in 1890. That was, his own way of starting the conversation. Wasn't it? He inquired. Yes, she replied. That is precisely the year it was built. It reminds me of the house I was born in. That was him commenting. It's beautiful, well built, roomy. They don't build houses like this anymore. I remember I tried to apply this exact example to a couple we visited with a few weeks ago. Like, looking around their house, I'm like, wow, I'm sure you did some work on this house, to remodel it and things like that. And yes, because they are architects. My husband and wife, they're in construction, they're architects, builders, all of that. So like, yeah, we had to show our work. And I'm like, yes. And how long have you been here? They're like, over 25 years. I'm like, and it's like this? This is amazing. And they felt really good. They now started talking about, how more like some little histories in that house that they've had, they've been in. So it's a way of, endearing yourself to other people. So as he was going on, this is a dream house, she said in a voice vibrating with tender memories. That is the gift you are giving to this person, relieving the pleasure, or that she usually have, with the house. This house was built with love. My husband and I dreamed about it for years before we built it. We didn't have an architect. We planned it all ourselves. She showed Mr. R about the house, and he expressed his hearty admiration for the beautiful treasures she had picked up in her travels and cherished over a lifetime. Especially when you're visiting with people like this, things that they have in their homes, they've even, they've enjoyed it while they first got it and they just put it there. When you're picking it up again and, reminding them about it, it just brings that beautiful memory back. It's especially elderly people. It makes them feel young again. It makes them, go back to those ages and things. So it's really nice. So after showing him through the house, she took him out to the garage. There, jacked up on blocks, was a Packard car in mint condition. My husband bought that car for me shortly before he passed on. She says softly, I have never ridden in it since his death. You appreciate nice things, and I'm going to give this car to you. Amazing, right? Why, Auntie? He said, you overwhelm me. I appreciate your generosity, of course, but I couldn't possibly accept it. I'm not even a relative of yours. I have a new car, and you have many relatives that would like to have that Packard. Relatives. Yes, I have relatives who are just waiting till I die so they can get that car, but they're not going to get it. If you don't want to give it to them, you can very easily sell it to a second-hand dealer, he told her. Sell it? She cried. Do you think I will sell this car? Do you think I could stand to see strangers riding up and down the street in that car? That car that my husband bought for me, I wouldn't dream of selling it. I'm going to give it to you. You appreciate beautiful things, So these are ways by which Now, how did she come about this conclusion that you appreciate beautiful things? Because he was literally exercising what he learned in human relations. So he was genuinely trying to find what he can compliment this old lady on. And he was able to find that, just the whole house. And that gave her an impression that he appreciates beautiful things. So those are ways by which we impress upon others, and we make them feel really good, and we make ourselves, someone that other people can definitely, communicate with. So it goes a long way. It's a way by which people feel endeared to us, right? That principle was introduced to us, saying how to make people like you instantly, right? Appreciating them, appreciate what they have, show them, things that they have that you can put a premium on, that you can put a good compliment on, and that will make them feel important, right? And especially when we do it sincerely. All right, so that is all from me today that we're going to cover. By next week, we're going to continue on to the next part, which is part 3. So basically, we have looked at, making 6 ways to make people like us. Yes, 6 ways to make people like us. Become genuinely interested in other people. Smile. That one is easy to do. Just make sure you smile all the time. I told, I was, in the last review, smile at yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror and smile, right? Remember to smile. Remember that a person's name is to them, that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. And, let them hear it often. Be a good listener. And on that name, if somebody has not given you the option to say, use the short form or use a nickname, don't do it. Don't do it. When they tell you their full name and you say, can I call you this? Unless they say, my name is this, and you can call me this. But don't offer to say, oh, can you give me a nickname? Or can I call you this? No. As they've said their name, try to stick with it. Okay. I don't know why that has been something of something very is a thing for me, of recent, that before I'll give them my middle name, Elizabeth. I'm sure if I say Elizabeth now, you want to pick that up. Now, at some point, I just like, no way, I'm going back. Omomi is Omomi. And when I tell you Omomi, don't say, can I call you Omo? Or can I call you Omomi? Or what's the short form? No. The way I say it to you, say it back, right? And I try to, offer that to other people as well. It's just that's just it. It makes people feel like, okay, you make them feel important. All right. Then be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves, why you listen, why you ask more questions, about it, why you, show interest, why you're interested, definitely. And talk in terms of the other person's interests. What are the things that they are passionate about? What are the things that they, what is their hobby? What are the things that they do on their leisure, and, all of that they are passionately driving. And then make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. Skincare You might see somebody with a very nice skin, compliment their skin and ask them, what do they use? What is their skincare routine like? And if you see someone that you know, they need what you're selling as far as skincare is concerned, their skin is suffering, and you know the skin is calling at you to come and save them. Please, untamed me, save me, and you feel like, yes, they need your product. Look for other things to complement them on, right? And when you're able to complement them on those other things, they know, okay, if you can value this, definitely what you're telling me or what you carry, as a solution is something they can value as well, right? They know you value good things, right? And so far you can value good things about them, then they know what you're presenting to them will be of good value too, because you have eyes for good things, right? If it's coming from you, definitely I know I can trust it. That kind of trust, right? That kind of level of trust. All right. That is it for us today. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your engagement. Yes, yes, yes. I would love to hear your take, Shakira, as you read through the book, things that you started implementing or things that you find fascinating. Please let's talk about it. I'd love to hear. So thank you so much and congratulations. We have the senior executive here today. Hello, Diana Rose. Congratulations. That was amazing. Yes, that is a good one. Started listening to people genuinely. I tell you, there's some of the things they will point out, in books like this that you wouldn't know you do. One of the things that they use, that I've read and, tried to learn from is when somebody is talking, are you listening to understand what they're saying, or you're listening in order to construct your own response? You're listening to see where you can jump in. I won't find myself jumping. Exactly. Are you listening to them to look for where to jump in to talk, in the conversation, right? So yes, so definitely, instead of, for example, the story I read earlier about Dale, the woman was the one that asked, him, tell me about all of your adventures in Europe. And while they're trying to settle down, she mentioned, we just recently returned from Africa. Then Dale immediately turned the attention to her and said, what, Africa? I've wanted to go. Please tell me tell me all about it. Yes, with people and listen calmly. Absolutely. I think it was last week that I gave this example that, you would think it's a way of relating with the other person. For example, when somebody is talking about their child that possibly just graduated from college or just graduated from high school or whatever, and you equally have a child that recently, graduated from high school, it's not the right time to say, oh yeah, congratulations, my daughter also recently graduated high school. No, let them have that time. You can bring yours up, your own time. That time, let them have it to themselves, unless they ask you, your daughter is in the same grade, right? Did she graduate? She graduated too, right? Aha! You can now slightly just chip it in. But instead of taking over the conversation, just back off. Don't try to relate. Don't try to equate their experience with yours. I learned that, a while back as well. So yeah, definitely being able to get people talking about themselves. It goes a long way, for them to, and of course, show sincere appreciation of what they're sharing and show interest, definitely. Not while they're talking, like, talking too much, you're rolling your eyes, you're like, no, but rather get them talking. Of course, in a way, not just them rambling on, but in a way that, they'll be able to, make good conversation. And that rely on the questions you're asking them as well, digging those quality gems out, for you to benefit from as well. So they don't just dump on you, ramblings, right? So, all right. That is it for us today. Have a wonderful day. And again, you're welcome. Again, yes, Dana Rose, you're welcome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, yes. I'm following your footsteps. God bless you for showing. Yes, Founder Circle and more is your reach. Absolutely. Yes, yes. Thank you, Shakira. Amazing, amazing. Awesome, awesome. And hopefully, Untamed will have his base in Tanzania. It's going to be amazing if that all of those hurdles are taken out of your way. So we'll see. All right, everyone. Shakira, hope you're enjoying, your stay here and all that. Excellent. All right. Have a wonderful day. God bless you.